There's a way of being present to others that allows you to understand them deeply. That way, they'll feel seen, which is something that we all want. Only when we see each other, we can be emotionally close and support each other effectively. We can't support each other without knowing what's going on in the other person's inner world. In this video, I explain how to be present to others so that you can understand them deeply, really see them. So, stay tuned. Empathy means to understand another person and then to communicate that understanding back to them. I've shared concrete, practical empathy communication skills in other videos. You can find them in my empathy playlist. And in this video, I want to focus on the attitude behind these skills that makes empathy possible. Let's get into it. Here are 5 characteristics of the empathy mindset. Number 1, emotional intimacy instead of defenses. When we're present to someone in an empathetic way, it's like opening the door to your house and inviting them in. Of course, you can decide how far you'd like to invite them in, but without opening the main gate to your inner world, you can't be present empathetically. You might wonder, but empathy is about entering the other person's world, not about my world. And that's only half of it. Empathy is an interaction. Or put more drastically, if empathy was just about the other person talking, they could also talk to a wall. Empathetic communication is an interaction, and whenever you're in the role of the listener, it means making room for the other person somewhere in your inner world and opening the main gate. This means being present with your full attention intellectually, but also emotionally to allow the other person to touch and move you emotionally. Again, you can decide how much according to the context and level of emotional intimacy in the relationship, but you're going to need some extent of emotional presence. You'll need your heart to be present so that you can use its wisdom to guide you in the interaction, and so that the other person can be reflected in it and see themselves in the mirror that you offer, a mirror that is kind and wise in a different way than their own inner world. Many people have gotten used to interacting with others with closed doors. They don't allow anyone in out of fear of getting hurt, humiliated, disappointed, or used. They shut their doors in the past when they made painful experiences, and now they're keeping their doors closed to anyone new in the present too. To be present empathetically, practice differentiating more. When is it a good idea to keep your doors shut? And with whom can you open them up? How far? Who are people that you'd like to invite in really close, maybe even as regular visitors? Not everyone will behave like that one person in your past that came in and trashed your inner space. Some will bring flowers. You don't want to miss out on them. Number 2, appreciation and generosity instead of skepticism. The psychologist Nicholas Epley made an interesting observation. When he asked business school students why they were going into business, they said to do something meaningful. And when he asked them why they thought others were studying business, they said, for the money. We're often skeptical of others like this. We assume negative things about them. That makes it hard to listen to what's actually there. Negative assumptions make you hear things in a negatively distorted way. Perceived in that light, others won't feel seen empathetically. Empathy requires a generous, appreciative attitude towards others. That way, they'll feel safe to open up because they can be sure that you will hold their truths with an awareness of their preciousness. Number 3, open-mindedness versus prejudice. Negative assumptions are a form of prejudice, and we can bring lots of other forms of prejudice into interactions as well. This is when we have an idea, or we think we do, we allow our mind to form a very detailed picture of what someone is like based on just a few facts that we actually know about them. For example, if you know someone votes a certain party or candidate, your brain will immediately cough up other things that might be true about this person based on association your brain has made in the past between characteristics of people and certain voting choices. The same thing happens based on other observations. We notice whether or not someone is punctual, tidy. We notice their choice of clothing, how they behave in small talk situations. We have associations about what someone's like based on their religious beliefs, social economic background, sexual orientation, gender. I could go on. Empathetic communication requires us to intentionally take a step back from these associations that the mind makes, and to remind ourselves, none of this could be true. Let me go into this interaction with an open, curious mind and really get to know the person. Number 4, constructivism versus naive realism. Naive realism means to think that my perspective is the way things are objectively, and either others see things the same way or something's wrong with them. If we have this attitude, we'll be so melted together with our own perspective that we won't be able to grasp someone else's. For example, we may think that whatever has helped me must also help them if they're only able to really implement those changes because they're exactly like me, or they want whatever I want because we're the same and our reality is the same and our perception of the world should be the same. The empathy mindset requires us to understand and remind ourselves of constructivism, which means that we all construct our perspective, our understanding of ourselves and the world. Everyone has their own story that is coherent in itself, even if that story is different from our story. There are many different ways to understand things, and often these different perspectives don't even exclude each other, but complement each other. This doesn't mean that we have to accept someone else's conclusions without questioning them, or that we have to submit to their view. Saying I understand does not mean I agree. And empathy is first of all about understanding the other person. What you then choose to do with that understanding is a different story. Number 5, growth mindset versus fixed mindset. A fixed mindset is the assumption that people don't really change. With this attitude, we'll keep seeing others as the ones they were last time we met, and that way we may misunderstand them in crucial ways. Empathy requires a growth mindset, an awareness that people do change and grow throughout life. The person that you knew once may be very different now. And by listening closely, you can notice these changes and see them for who they are and not for who they were. That's it from me today. Thanks for watching. If you like this, share it with a friend that might find it helpful. And remember to subscribe to see more videos like this one. Till next time, take care, and remember to be present with your heart, with appreciation and open-mindedness.